Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, and then this is one of the building. These are the earliest building which completed in 1984. A typical style of Malay architecture, but instead of timber, is all concrete. But some of the distinctive form of the architecture, example, extended floor joists are the mimic. The copy from the original Malay house from Terengganu and Kelantan. Okay, thank you. This is the campus. All right, now we shall begin. I'd like to begin this session first by looking at the slides at my whiteboard. Can you all see my whiteboard now? Everybody?
Yes.
Right, thank you. So this is the series 3 workshop of that ITIRA and UTM conducted. And today is September 11. Therefore, we are much delighted for your presence here. There are colleagues of you all from Nigeria, from China, and of course, many from Malaysia and the host nation, which is Indonesia. Let me start before we go to the presentation of Tika and Madan. All right, let me start what actually is research proposal. All right. In the research proposal here, can you all see this clearly?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, good. So I presume that you get a scholarship from your sponsor, perhaps from DICTI or from the minister called JPA and so forth. Generally, they will give you 3 years scholarship for PhD after your master's S2. Therefore, I generally would tell my students the journey is like this in 3 years, right? So therefore, year 1 is where you do your literature review. Year 2, where you collect the data, and then you analyze the data. Then year 3, when you get your result, you begin to interpret, doing the discussion, interpretation, and write your thesis, right? So therefore, I would like to focus here in this year 1. For which that you have 2 semesters, and within that 2 semesters, you do a plethora of review, articles in journal and chapter in books, right? Book chapters. Therefore, when you do review it, actually you are preparing your research proposal. At University Technology Malaysia, the research proposal generally they ask students to present in the 2nd semester for PhD, for masters in the 1st semester. So for PhD, on the 15 weeks of the 2nd semester, you'll be defending your research proposal defense, to a panel at least 3 examiners. Once you clear it, meaning that you pass, your method is clear, your research problem is well defined, and your gap is authentically clear, therefore, they allow you to go to the next stage, which is data collection and data analysis. All right. But for today, we're just looking at this on the research proposal. All right. Before we invite Tika and Madan to present their content of their research proposal, I'd like to tell a bit what is the general content of research proposal. All right. This proposal is important because this is where you will proceed to the next stage. Number 2, if you are from Indonesia, perhaps you like to apply DICTI scholarship. This proposal could also be a source for you to apply scholarship, meaning that you come here first, you start about first 1 semester, then you begin apply a really good proposal, then you present to DICTI. This happened to one of my students, Dr. Widya Francisca Fabriati Anwar from Palembang. She did her PhD in 2011 with me. She did that. She came here first with her own expenses, then produced an excellent proposal, present to DICTI in Jakarta, come back very good news. the panel was so much amazed by the quality of the proposal. Then she came with her family and read her thesis under my supervision for 6 semesters. She completed in 6 semesters. Then now she is the Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Engineering at Universitas Sriwijaya. All right. So the content is, one is what's the subject background? Where do you get it? From the literature review. What are the problems and the gap? So one single gap, right? That you're going to state the problem. This problem is only fits, to your research inquiry. Particularly the gap, right? Then we look at what method. Generally, in my research, many of my students are doing research on people and place relationship. So method is more than one. Okay. In research on children's environment, usually my students will have 4 methods, right? Then we have aim and objective, at least 2 objectives, 1 aim. After that, we will go to, literature review, then it's objective, methodology, scope of study, define the scope of study. Then you have your, what is the anticipated finding or expected finding. This is essential because you begin to think as a researcher what your end will be, what your research will contribute, right? And then the list of references. Okay, so this eight, there are many other institutions differently, but this is the general thing that required in research proposal. So if you were to look at my web page, I have many examples of my past students, my PhD graduates, who present very good proposal. Their proposal is about from 35 pages to 48 pages. In my research, in my web page. Okay, so I hope that you all, for those who already in the PhD journey, good for you all. For those who intend to do PhD, perhaps this is a good start for you all. All right. With that, I'd like to introduce the graduation members who are now doing PhD at University of Malaysia under the supervision under Green Innovation Research Group, which will be supervised by Dr. Isham and me. All right. Can you also see this? All right. So today we have 2. One is Tika Anissa from Jogja. She is now living in Jogja. She is answering the last objective, objective 3. She is doing the result interpretations. And of course, that will be part of her thesis writing. All right. Her topic is adaptive behavior in social spatial transformation imparted by tourism at Kampung Parutaman, Jogja. Why this research is important? The change of Parutaman, an urban kampung, an urban village, right, situated in a city of more than 6 million people, right, for which that is being changed. But the people, the residents of that kampung Prawirotaman adapt themselves. It's still their kampung, their lifestyle is still maintained, but they adapt. So that is a research inquiry. How do the people adapt? Not in the house, but the space outside the house, on the streets, on the alleys, on the aisles. Okay, that is from Jogja. Then we're going to fly over to a city in East Sri Lanka, Patakalo. Madan Raju, who is in the campus, is going to tell you about the urban sprawl. Why this matter in Patakalo? Because when the war ends, the civil war ends in 1990, that is 30 years ago, Patakalo developed fast, for which that many people developed their residences around the cities and outskirts of cities. It giving the effects of urban sprawl. So we like to listen to that. So today we look at adaptive behavior, one in inquiry. This is people place relationship research. Another, this is about urban planning research on urban sprawl. With that, I'd like to invite Tika to begin the session today. All right, she has about 30 minutes to present.
Yes,
Then after
Prof.
this, we will invite Marjan to have another 30 minutes. And then we're going to have a discussion. So if you would like to post your question in the chat, go ahead. Or even after this, you can speak through your microphone so that we can hear your living voice. Thank you. So go ahead, Tika, keep the target.
Yes, thank you, Professor Ismail. Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. My name is Tika Indonesia Fitria, and I'm now in the second year in UTM. I supervise under Prof. Ismail and Prof. Hisham. And yeah, for today, I will to have a story for my experience, how to construct my proposal. Let me share first my proposal. Is it showing now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. My title is Adaptiveness Behavior of Socio-Spatial Transformation Impacted by Tourism in Kampung Prairataman, the city of Yogyakarta, Indonesia. In the start, I tried to found how the global issue about the tourism development and the impacts. So this is the diagram that I made that it relates to the community and the spatial transformation and how it relates to the kampung, especially in the tourism kampung. It's because there is the intentional or multiple reasons due to the tourism development. And what the effect is about the spatial use. There is a two main of the use of the spatial when it transform into the tourism kampung. That is the tourism facility development, but the resident also needs their public facilities. So the physical impact is to the spatial transformation, and of course, it's related to the community, and on this, my research focus is the community behavior. So why I choose Yogyakarta? Because Yogyakarta is one of the top 10 destinations in Indonesia, and there are more than 5 million tourists that come to Yogyakarta, especially in the city of Yogyakarta. So in summary, I see that the tourism development, especially Yogyakarta and tourism kampung, has consequences of the socio-spatial and on the community behavior. And the second one, it's the issue in global issue also. I see that how the tourism development happen in some of country, such as in Korea, China, Taiwan, and Malaysia. We can see in Korea there is the Gamcheon. I'm sorry how to spell it, but Gamcheon Busan, and the China in Chatang, Guangdong, and Taiwan, Chungcheong, Rotamsu, and Malaysia in the Northern Malacca. So from this sample, I can see that a neighborhood transformation into tourism destination should be properly planned to control the impacts, including the urban neighborhood that transform into urban tourism village. And in the third, I try to see deeply how it relates to the city of Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta, kampung is really important for Yogyakarta because it's become the urban structure of the city of Yogyakarta. We can see in the concentric pattern of Javanese state concept, that is a Catur Tunggal. We can see that in Yogyakarta, in the city Yogyakarta, the urban planning, previous urban planning is see how the Kraton or the Sultan Palace, it become the center of the city of Yogyakarta. So we can see the Sultan with the Kraton is become the court, and this is a Nagara. It's become the capital city of the location and location of the kampung. This is how the Prairie Taman located. And in the wider circle is the Nagaragung is the greater capital, and Macanagara is the foreign land. So for the Prairie Taman, this is the position for the Prairie Taman. It's become the Nagara of the city of Yogyakarta. And when we see the map, this is the structure of the urban structure in Yogyakarta. This is how the Kraton as a center, and the most become also in the left side become the center also, and the Pasar Gede or the market, big market. And this is the barrier or the Kraton walls that's separate from the inner area of the Kraton to the outer area of the Kraton. So this is the position of Prairie Taman. Prairie Taman is the Sultan servant neighborhood. So how it relate to the Kraton or the urban spatial in the urban structure of Yogyakarta, I think it's really is strong, and we can see the distance is so near from the Kraton Yogyakarta. This is Prairie Taman, and this is the Kraton of Yogyakarta, our Sultan Palace. So the importance also that I take is the importance of kampung in the urban structure of the city of Yogyakarta. We can see Prairie Taman here. It's only become the micro spatial of the global, or especially for the urban city of Yogyakarta. But we can see that Prairie Taman, even though it's only the micro spatial, it can relate or it can affect the meso or macro spatial, especially relate to the tourism. There's a regulation, Yogyakarta City Major Regulation about the how the tourism village implementation. So after this regulation, there are around 17 kampung in the city of Yogyakarta transform become tourism village or tourism kampung. And in the city of Yogyakarta, it's only 46 kilometers square. So it's not really a large city, but we can imagine when the kampung, all the kampung transform become the this function become the like modern kampung. So we can see how the identity of the Yogyakarta, it must be changed. So the kampung is an urban microscale that contribute to the city of Yogyakarta structure change, including the physical and social setting. So this is one of reference. The microspatial level is more likely to investigate the relationship between people and specific environmental feature and element. So it's what the reason I take Prairie Taman and how the spatial change for my study. Next is we can see how the transformation of the Prairie Taman. In 19th century, its function as the Sultan Soldier Prajurit Prajurit Prairie settlement, and become the batik industry. After that, the change as the tourism accommodation, and now from the 80s until present, it's become the tourism village, the well-known tourism village in Indonesia, especially in Yogyakarta. What the change, the shifted owner of the hotels, the identity, the change of building facade, and the high price of land that motivate the residents to sell or rent the land or the house to the investor. But we can see that Prairie Taman is a appropriate kampung that accommodate the lower layer of traditional Javanese aristocracy affiliated with the Sultan Palace. So from this, I can see that the transformation not only in the rural or in the slum area, but the proper kampung, it changed because of tourism. So I think it's the one of the factor why I choose the Prairie Taman become the location of my study. And next is we can see the Prairie Taman transformation and the socio-spatial phenomenon. We see the increasing number and homestay and the length of stay of tourists. This is, we can see from 1919 and 2020. And for the other impacts about the land use change, we can see this is the circle A. We can see from this 2007, 14, and 2019. We can see there was a lot of greenery or the vegetation in 2014. More lack of the greenery, and 2019 there is no greenery. Because why? Because there is the tourism development due to the hotel on homestay development. So how about the other impact due to the tourism? This is the land ownership change. We can see they change the facade of the building, the function of the building. This is it was a house, but they changed or rent to investor to become the homestay and hotel, restaurant, and so on. And the space privatization forming. We can see this is the street. It is, of course, it's for public, but they have the sign, no parking here. Or the parking here, it's only for the guests of a homestay. And others, we can see that the private taman transformation and the social spatial phenomenon relating to the territorial forming. Territorial forming in private taman can be reflected through the transition area, which is understood as a public space by the community. Like this, pedestrian way use, how the resident or the investor use the sidewalk for their business. And other territorial forming that happen in private taman is how the resident build the height and solid fence. And of course, the parking area sign along the street. And the uniqueness is when we go to the alley, this is the public space used, how they form their territorial with the clothesline. So, and we can see how the territorial forming is how they build the solid fence, but there is still the greener fence. And how they form their territory also, we can see how the resident use the public area. The community sit and gather in the building community, we call the ronda post or the patrol post. So we can say that public space in kampung has a critical role to accommodate social interaction among residents. So when when I see in the private taman, especially in the transition area. And then I do the preliminary interview, and I see that the perception about the tourism is there is no yard. There was a post ronda, parking area, the street, terrace, yard, street, access circulation and parking, main street, and main street. So I can see that the private taman is currently experiencing a gradual decline in terms of providing social spatial due to the territorial transformation in the transition area. For example, yard, ronda post, street, terrace, and circulation. And this is the social phenomenon also. How the declining of the territorial flexibility. I tried to see in the 1980s, the fence is made by bamboo. In 2020s, there is a solid and high fence. So I can see that the people try to change their social behavior and build privatization. But in other words, we can see the people try to maintain social behavior under the pressure of campus transformation. For example, this is the access, the public access, but owned by residents. They opened the access before 2020, but in March they closed the access. But in 2020 October, they allow the resident to access this area. So we can see that the people through maintain social behavior under the pressure of the campus transformation. So I can see also that the behavior in using the kampung transition area is a part of neighboring life in Kampung Private Taman. We can see in the 1980 there was a wedding ceremony that took place in the yard, and the community gathering also. But in 2020, it's still, they use the alley for the ronda or the night patrol every night. And in the 2020 also, the woman gathering also in the terrace and the yard. So I can see that using the transition area in private taman is a part of neighboring life for the residents. This is the sample of interaction activity, and this is the significance of study on adaptiveness behavior of transformation to spatial approach. There is the quality of life. The form of their tangible culture can be through cultural neighborhood, a lack of attachment people to place, the adaptive process of individuals, and however, the few previous research study of community behavior who lives in tourism environment is more involved to the psychology, geography, sociology, and tourism. So I try to this is scope of my to construct the scope of my study like this. It's more of the spatial approach and the tourism geography, psychology, social. And this is the different from the previous study that spatial is only the limited focus for this study. And this is the problem statement. The problem statement I construct also from theoretical is they manage the environment based on the decision collected through interaction among residents, the tourism activities affect, the drastic change, transformation of the kampung, territorial order, and the change in behavior, and understanding the community is a part of planning process for successful tourism development. So this is the problem statement from my proposal. It's about the empirical and theoretical. It's related to the socio-spatial phenomena in Prairie Taman. This is how I construct my research graph. Firstly, it relates to the trend of the area and scope in the study of transformation behavior. And this is my area. It's about the microspatial and about the social interaction behavior. And the second one is my research gap construct from the previous thesis focus. My research gap in this area, but only in the tourism kampung about the adaptiveness behavior of kampung transformation. And also based on the previous studies of private taman, this is the previous study of private taman, and this is my research gap is about or relate to the architecture and spatial behavior. It's about the adaptiveness behavior of kampung transformation. So the research aim for my proposal is to develop the concept of the community adaptiveness of the kampung transformation at Prairie Taman, City of Yogyakarta. The research objective is to identify the forming process, to investigate the socio-spatial factor, to investigate the territorial forming process, and to examine the relationship of social interaction pattern and socio-spatial pattern informing adaptive behavior during the kampung transformation. And this is my research question. What is the social interaction behavior? What is the social spatial pattern? And how is the relationship between social interaction and social spatial pattern? And this is my scope research. Scope research related to the area, topic, and focus. The area is only street, alley, corridor or aisle, and the terrace or yard. And the topic is about the kampung transformation. My focus is only about the territorial, social interaction, and socio-spatial. This is the scope of research of my study. It is the Prairie Taman in the city of Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And then how I try Prairie Taman become my study. I try to use this parameter. This is developed from Tourism Impact by Beaton, but I put it the checklist during my observation. So I compare with the other 16 tourism kampung in Yogyakarta, and 1 until 16 is tourism kampung in Yogyakarta, and this is 17 is Prairie Taman. So we can see that what happened in Prairie Taman due to the tourism development is about the economy and social health impact, and spatial change, of course, land use function and historical building form and function, and also historical community identity. So why I choose Prairotaman as my study. So this is my scope also. It's about the microspatial structure, territorial shifting and depth, social interaction behavior, and fast. And for the urban environment, I just study about the facade and interface of transition area. What my study is from 1980 to the present. And this is the literature review that I read for my proposal. It's about the neighborhood and urban neighborhood in kampung context. It is a traditional urban neighborhood. It's helped me to find the parameter and the socio-spatial transformation by Habrecken and the adaptive behavior and the environment behavior theories and the tourism, of course, and the territoriality because it become my focus. And this is the territorial framework and research parameter. My main author is Habrecken. It's about the transformation and territorial order and the Altman adaptation and strategies. And from this proposal, it's around 190 literature. And this is from the literature. I tried to construct my research parameter. It's about the adaptive behavior. So my parameter is about the social space forming component. Number 2 is social network. 3 is communication capacity, and the 4th is forming process. And the subparameter is like function, element forms, and for the social network is about the experience and community capacity by perceptionist, emotional, and so on. And this is the research method, field observation. I do the interview, observation, documentation, archival records. The tool like working interview, questionnaire, and GIS processing, and so on. And the data required about the spatial and the socio-spatial element and others. And of course, the map, the transformation of land use and spatial structure in Prairotaman. So the field observation parameter also, I do the time of mapping, zoning activity, and territorial categories. I do the working interview, start time relate to the prayer because the prayer become the in Prairotaman or Indonesia, especially in the kampung, it's become like sign when they start the interaction and end the interaction. So I divided into 4 in the morning and after subuh prayer, and the day after asar prayer, evening after maghrib, and in the night after isya prayer. So this is the residence, the parameter how I do the walking interview and so on, and it's about I divided into local and non-local because I think it's a different perspective. And this is the zoning of activity based on preliminary observation that I made. This is also the respondents. It's because it's about the transformation. So the urban or the residents, it's really important to help me to find how the transformation of Prairotaman. And this is the resident location also. I divided into 3 and other 4 categories, and the group member who I will ask. This is I try to make it category, and also this is sorry. This is the transition area that become the focus is transition area as a spatial structure. It's the unit observation is street, alley, and pocket space like that. And the transition area as a house and social building like yard and terrace. This is this is the alley. This is the house social. House building. It's become the yard. Alley, it's warung. The terrace of house. The veranda of mosque and street. And it's also the aisle. It's my unit observation for my study. And I found that the uniqueness is there is only a half meter of the aisle, but this can still interact in this place. And 1 meter also, only a half meter, they can do ronda or the night patrol here, and 2 meter and 2 meter and a half. This is my data analysis and reserve variable. It's because it's related to the social behavior and transformation. So this is about the social interaction. I try to activity clustering mapping, activity pattern, and also the social spatial is related to how the territory topology, transition area topology, and how about the perception and the territorial, of course. And this is the research parameter, and that helped me to find the output or the result of my study. This is the parameter from the theoretical and empirical that I did, and this is related to the structure, and the building is about the transition area, and it is related to socio-territorial because my focus is about the territorial, and this is from this I can find the research objective number one is about the social behavior pattern, and from this parameter I can find my research objective number two is about the social spatial pattern. And so from this research objective 1 and 2, I hope that I can see how the adaptiveness behavior in Prarataman. So this is the flow chart of my gap. This is the background. It's related to the city of Yogyakarta, especially in the kampung, and what kampung is Prarataman. The paradigm is the realism and case study, and it is the assumption because my research about the microspatial behavior is my assumption is microspatial behavior in kampung Prarataman has a different concept from other kampung of settlement, and I will contribute to enrich the theory, especially for the transformation is from the Hebraican and the adaptation strategies by Altman. And my contribution is from this study is to preserve the urban kampung in the city of Yogyakarta from identity loss and sustain the local community existence, and to make sustainable city by building resilient society and redress environmental impact of cities by UN Sustainable Development Goal 11. And yes, this is my Gantt chart, and this is some of reference, and this is my last my slide. Thank you, Prof. Ismail.
All right, participant, we hear from Tika on transition, urban neighborhoods, for which that this urban neighborhood called Prarataman is much attached to the palace, right? So therefore, but yet the transmission happens so much due to impact of tourism. Okay, so people build their house, change the house to homestay. At times, they still have the house, but they add another unit as a homestay. Okay, this city is much being flooded by many tourists, and yet the people try to adapt themselves. They still would like to live in their village, in their kampung, in their urban village, adapt themselves, practice things that happening 20 years ago, still being practiced, or 30 years ago, still being practiced today, right? So this is the adaptation that they have. So therefore, from 199 articles, Tika utilized at least two main reference from Hebraican, 1998, and from Altman, 1980. You see that although Tika is from architecture, but she utilized references that she gained the theory from beyond architecture, not in architecture, right? So this is the nature of research proposal. She has defended the proposal and she passed it. Now she already collected her data. Now she analyzing it. She is about to complete research objective 2, then proceed to research objective 3. Inshallah, by early next year, I think she will complete her PhD. I think this is a good progress of her. Okay, thank you guys. So now we'd like to fly to Monte Carlo we like to invite Madan Raju to present on urban sprawl. This where the scale is big compared to Tika, the scale is just a village, right? Here is the whole regions of the city of Batkalu. Okay, Madan Raju, are you with us now?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, go ahead now to present your material. This is more towards urban planning. Madan is a docent at University in Batkalu, and he's from human geography department, right? Therefore, he would like to study in the perspective of urban planning. All right, so here comes Batkalu. Okay, go ahead, Raju, Madan.
Thank you, Prof. Very good morning. And also, is it clear, Prof?
Yes.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. Very good morning. I welcome all the participants to this session. Today, I'm going to present my research proposal, which is entitled with a prediction model for urban sprawl by integrating socio-economic factors in the Bettiklo Municipal Council, Sri Lanka. This picture shows the part of the Bettiklo area. My supervisors, Dr. Noradila Rusli, Dr. Gabriel Ling, and Professor Dr. Smile Seth. Now move to the presentation. This presentation outlines with 4 main sections and subsections. Introduction, literature review, methodology, and references are the main section, and also it's include the subsections. Now move to the introduction section. Research background. Urbanization is the rapid increase of population growth in the cities. This rapid growth is increasing more in developing countries and also in developed countries. However, Asian countries have many large urban hubs in the world. The world urban population in 1900 was nearly 14%, which was increased to 54% in 2014. This growth is expected to be around 66% in 2050. However, as a developing countries, Sri Lanka has experienced a gradual population growth in recent decades. The population was nearly 3 million in 2000, which was increased to 7 million in 2020. It will expected to be 9 million in 2030. This rapid population growth creates a critical problem, which is urban sprawl. The term urban sprawl has been used nearly 80 years. However, it was firstly realized by the transformation of massive agricultural land to the residential, industrial, and commercial development in USA during late 1950s. In this case, the United States got a high rank of urban sprawl in the world. At the same time, Canada, Austria, and Slovenia also got the same place. Besides, the Western cities in the world were identify the residential-based sprawling growth. This sprawling growth creates many socioeconomic impacts to the urban environment. For example, infrastructure cost, social segregation, loss of agricultural land, public and social health, land market, and disparity in wealth, which are identified from developed and developing countries. In this case, the Bettiklo city is one of the fastest growing cities in Sri Lanka, which was affected by the civil war nearly 3 decades. After the end of the civil war in 2009, there are many development opportunities in this area, which has changed the land more spatially and temporally. However, this area was not considered by any researchers to study the urban sprawl, spatial, and temporal patterns. Also, the population growth is low in the Sri Lankan cities compared to other cities in developing countries. But the urban sprawl is very high, including in the particular city. In addition, urban sprawl studies were more considered on the physical factors, but socio-economic studies on urban sprawl were rarely studied in the world, especially in the developing countries. But there were no studies conducted about the socio-economic factors of urban sprawl in Sri Lanka. Further, few studies conducted on the urban sprawl model in developing countries compared to developed countries. Although these studies were not considered more on socio-economic factors of urban sprawl in the prediction. In this case, the current situation in the particular city is the unplanned residential development are increasing the urban sprawl growth. This rapid sprawling growth creates more socioeconomic impacts to the city. Thus, a prediction model should be developed to this area by integrating socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl by 2030. Because this city is expected to become a metropolitan city with enormous population growth in 2030. Based on this, the research gap of the study was identified by the review of related literature. According to the review, there are 3 gaps were identified, which are empirical gap, theoretical gap, and methodological gap. In the Sri Lankan context, particular area was not considered the spatial and temporal changes of urban sprawl, which is an empirical gap. Further, there were no comprehensive study conducted covering more socioeconomic factors, and also fewly conducted in developing countries. At the same time, there were no studies conducted about the socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl in Sri Lanka, which is the theoretical gap. In addition, there were specific techniques only used for the urban sprawl model, and those models were not integrated the socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl, which is the methodological gap. Thus, this study aims to develop the prediction model for urban sprawl by integrating socioeconomic factors in the particular municipal council, Sri Lanka. Then the research questions and research objectives are formulated to achieve this aim. There are 3 research questions and research objectives I have formulated. First research question, what are the spatial and temporal patterns of urban sprawl over different years, 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020 in the particular municipal council? This question follows the objective to identify the patterns of urban sprawl in particular municipal council for years 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020. And the second research question, what and how is the relationship between socioeconomic factors and urban sprawl pattern? The objective for this one to explore the relationship between socioeconomic factors and urban sprawl patterns. And the third research question, how will the urban sprawl pattern look like in 2030 by integrating socioeconomic factors? For this research question, to develop a hybrid model integrating socioeconomic factors for predicting urban sprawl pattern in the year 2030. And then this is the research flow, which contain 5 stages. Stage 1, introduction to literature review. Stage 3, data collection. Stage 4, data analysis. And stage 5, result and discussion and conclusion. Next, move to the literature review. This is my theoretical framework of this study. This study is mainly focused on the Sustainable Development Goal 11.3, For this, the urban sprawl pattern is identified by its characteristic, which form due to the residential growth. As it is a socioeconomic study, many driving factors are creating more socioeconomic impacts to the city. Thus, this study is going to use a hybrid model to predict the urban sprawl pattern by integrating the socioeconomic factors. Now the definition of urban sprawl. Urban sprawl defines in terms of the urban environment of the city where the study conducted. So far, there is no consensus on urban sprawl definition. However, the characteristics of urban sprawl, which are low density development, leapfrog development, commercial driven development, scattered development, auto dependent development, uncontrolled growth, uncoordinated growth, and unplanned growth, used to define the urban sprawl in developed and developing countries. However, low density development, leapfrog development, commercial driven development, scattered development are identified as major characteristics which mentioned by many researchers. And then move to the socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl. The socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl also identify from the developed and developing countries. Based on this, housing preference, income inequality, demographic dynamic, land value, education, employment, poverty, regional accessibility, living standard, and policy regulations were identified in the world. However, a few number of factors only considered by each author in their studies. This is one of the gap. And then the scope of the study. First one, rapid urban development continuously changes the urban land use pattern, and it leads to the urban sprawl growth. So this study is focused only the particular municipal council area. And the second scope, several socioeconomic factors such as housing preference, income inequality, demographic dynamic, land value, education, employment, regional accessibility, poverty, policy regulation, and living standards identified in previous studies from developed and developing countries that can be used to find the significant factors of urban sprawl in the particular municipal council. There are many socioeconomic factors in the world. However, this study used these 10 factors only for conducting to find the significant factors. And the third scope, this study integrates the significant socioeconomic factors for urban sprawl in the particular municipal council that can be used for the urban sprawl prediction model. And it applies a hybrid model, logistic regression, cellular automata, and Markov chain in the urban sprawl prediction. This is another scope. And then move to the methodology section. First, I'm going to introduce my study area, why it was selected. The study area, particular municipal council, is located in the eastern coast of Sri Lanka. The boundaries of these areas are Erawur Urban Council in the north, coastal area in the east, Katangudi Urban Council in the south, and Lagoon in the west. This area has total extent around 4,311 hectares, which is allocated to residential, agriculture, commercial, wetland, waterways, and scrubland, and also another categories. And the total population in this area is 94,131, and the density is 1,372 person per square kilometer. Further, the spatial transformation. spatial distribution of the ethnic population is like a sandwich pattern with Tamil, Muslim, Sinhalese, and other people. However, this area was affected by the civil war nearly 3 decades, from 1983 to 2019. Thereafter, many development projects, nearly 28 ongoing projects are changing the land use pattern, which is also create the problem related to the urban sprawl. So this area is considered to the urban sprawl study. And then the data collection and the data analysis display here based on the objectives. For objective 1, to identify the patterns of urban sprawl in particular municipal council for years 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020. The data collected from the Landsat 5, Landsat 7, Landsat 8 images, and also census data for 1991, 2001, 2011, and 2020. And this data analyzed using supervised classification method, accuracy assessment, density analysis, and also Shannon entropy model. It used the ArcGIS 10.61 tool for the analysis. And the second objective, to explore the relationship between socioeconomic factors and urban sprawl pattern. The data collected through the questionnaire survey for urban sprawl and socioeconomic factors. It used the reliability analysis, exploratory factor analysis, Pearson correlation analysis, and multiple regression analysis. It used SPSS application for the analysis. And then to develop a hybrid model integrating socioeconomic factors for predicting urban sprawl pattern in 2030. It will use the data, urban sprawl maps, and socioeconomic factors. For this data analyzed by using Kramer's B-test, logistic regression analysis, Markov chain analysis, and cellular automata analysis. And this data analyzed using the I3C application. This table indicates the required data for the analysis, and then move to the sample selection for questionnaire survey. Questionnaire survey will use to collect the sample for the data on socioeconomic factors. The study area is the Betiklo Municipal Council, which consists of 94,131 people. Of these, nearly 400 questionnaire samples will be collected from the total population. Those 400 respondents are who live within the Betiklo municipality area. This survey will use the stratified random sampling method, and the stratum developed based on the build-up density. Further, the respondents will be age 18 to 55 years old. Finally, the output will be 95% confidence level and plus or minus 5% margin of error. And then this is the information from the literature about the spatial prediction model. The model, spatial prediction model, categorized into 3 types, which are GIS-based model, machine learning models, and hybrid models. That is identified from different concerns. For example, land use, land cover change, urban sprawl, urban growth, and urban expansion. GIS-based model encode the data to produce the spatial layers with predictor variable. These models absent the ability to integrate with other models, and also it is inability to integrate the socioeconomic factors. And the machine learning models are computer algorithms of artificial intelligence. These models can run without human assistance, which generally used in urban studies. However, these all single models are not able to include the socioeconomic data in the prediction. Also, it needs additional calculation to fulfill the output. But the hybrid models are system-based theories with multi-scale characteristics that well suited to other models. These combined models have ability to handle the socioeconomic data with spatial distribution. Based on this review, the suitable model is a hybrid model, logistic regression, cellular automata, and Markov chain you selected for this study. And then the conceptual framework. Here, the socioeconomic factors are main parameter host to the urban sprawl pattern. These socioeconomic factors and urban sprawl patterns are integrated by logistic regression, cellular automata, and Markov chain model to predict the urban sprawl pattern in 2030. This prediction model can be useful to realize the future sprawling and also propose the recommendation to minimize the sprawling in future. Finally, this finding will be contribute to the Sustainable Development Goal 11. And then the process of run the model. This is the process of run the model model for urban sprawl pattern in 2030. Urban sprawl pattern can be derived from the land use land cover maps for the years 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020. It will employ the land change analysis and get the changing trend maps. Socioeconomic factors are obtained from the socioeconomic profile and also survey. These factors are going to join with Gramaladhara division to get the spatial vector map. And these vector maps converted into raster files. After that, these images perform in Kramer V-test to get the potential variable for the prediction model. Then it used the logistic regression analysis to get the probability surface and also the quantity of change for the urban sprawl achieved by Markov chain method. Then the quantity of change and the probability images used to predict the urban sprawl pattern in 2030 using CO Markov model. Then the model will use the self-validation and also expert opinion. This whole process will be done with ArcGIS and I3C land change modeler. And this is the non-spatial data interpretation. These samples, the samples from the questionnaire survey collected with spatial references. I mean the spatial reference means the X and Y geographic coordinates. And then these coordinates points will be used to create the spatial point maps for the particular municipality area. Then based on these random points, probability density for each socioeconomic factors can be mapped using kernel density tool. Thereafter, this map can be solved the influencing level, which is highly influenced or moderately influenced or low influence in the particular municipality area. Thereafter, the build-up pattern and each socioeconomic factors can be compared each other to find the spatial relationship between socioeconomic factors and urban sprawl patterns. How influence these factors? And the next expected outcome for objective 1, spatial and temporal patterns And the changes of urban sprawl are identified as I display here for the years 2020. And these patterns can be low density pattern or leapfrog pattern or scatter pattern or commercial driven development pattern. And the objective two, the significant and also the most influencing socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl and their relationship with urban sprawl identified by the survey. For example, housing preference, income inequality, demographic dynamic can be influenced. And also the third objective, urban sprawl pattern in 2030 can be predicted by integrating socioeconomic factors that will display in the map. For example, this map here, this map looks like the map display here on for the urban sprawl pattern in 2016. Sorry, land use pattern in 2016 and 2026 in Iran. And then the significance of the study, the output of the study mainly contribute to the Sustainable Development Goal 11.3. Also, this study will contribute empirically, theoretically, methodologically, and also for the future planning. The result can be useful for the design of database on existing land use, land cover, and also to understand the urban sprawl pattern in future. Further, the identification of socioeconomic factors of urban sprawl useful to the future studies in developing countries. And also it can be a finding for the direction of urban sprawl. And then the study can create knowledge on hybrid modeling by the prediction of urban sprawl integrating socioeconomic factors. Finally, this study this prediction model can be beneficial for the decision makers to develop appropriate policies regarding the build-up developments. And this is the research planning and schedule. I have published two research papers. One is in IOP conference series, which is also published as a full paper, and other one is in a journal of land published by MTPI. And these two are the major references I have used to my study. And thank you very much. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for all.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you for Now let us go to the our question and answer session. Before that, I'd like to make a summary first. Okay. When we look at TICA research, it's a small scale as compared to land use that look at the whole city of Batkalo by Mother Raju. Right, and we can also see that both of them are looking at research question. Modern focus on what, so does TICA too, and how, what and how. So we can see that modern research is an explanatory research, whereas TICA, which is part exploratory and part explanatory research, right? But both of them, if you look at the research approach, research paradigm, we look that on modern, we utilize this paradigm of positivism, meaning that when you look at the socio-economic factors on the residents of Batkalo, therefore the impact on the land use, that is positivism. But for TICA, she used realism, which I think is a derivative of constructivism. So this research paradigm must be understood well during your research proposal. When you do your research proposal, you must understand this well, the paradigm, right? Like, for example, my students who are doing research on children's environment, example, Jonathan Yusuf, who's looking at how do Bajau Obiang children in the island of Pulau Bumbun in Sabah, how did they interact with the environment? She do not use the constructivism approach, which she begin with. But then as she go further on in her data analysis, she migrated into called interpretivism. Therefore, this paradigm at times it change while you are doing your research. That's okay when you do research on people's and place relationship. All right. So we like to also to look at that under the gap, modern approach, we see three gaps. The gap is one on the empirical gap, meaning you're going to produce new thing, the model, right? That based on socioeconomic factors. Two, the methodological gap. And three is the theoretical gap, meaning that surely he will extend the theory that he constructed in her theoretical framework. He constructed his theoretical framework. So that's Tika. So these are the things that we can contribute in PhD research, PhD thesis. And PhD thesis is stood on empirical. PhD thesis stood on creating new knowledge. I repeat, PhD research contributes to new knowledge. If you do not have it, then your PhD thesis is incomplete. We need to put time to it, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Repeat, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Then only within 6 semesters, you will reach the finishing line and produce an excellent thesis. In Australia, we call it exceptionally good thesis. Exceptionally good thesis. All right. Okay, with that, I like now to open to the audience. There are 33, about 30 of you all are attending now. Thank you for attending. So this is a free discussion that my research group, including my student Ika and Madan, like to share our discovery on their research with you all. So now it's open for you all to ask questions. So go ahead.
If no one, I would like to start, Professor.
Go ahead, yeah, Lufti from Ikira.
Okay, I have 3 questions actually. Do we have to explain one on one or?
Okay, we'll begin with one first. And who do you like to ask to?
Professor. To you, Professor. The first one is, do we have to compose solid research background first, or do a literature review first, Prof?
All right. Research background generally started from when you're about to depart in your research. You already begin to see what is the problem. For example, Tika, who lived in Pawara Taman, she began to see that the impact of tourism on her neighborhood. So that's how she started. But in order to get the path, the track denominator, the theory, right? Therefore, she has to do literature review. Similarly, Madan lived in Batu Kalo, right? After the war, he saw Batu Kalo spreading fast, development. So that's how he started. Therefore, after that, what are the theories? You look at his theoretical theory, it's vast, right? It's vast. So therefore, that's how he started. PhD, it needs to find a real problem. Generally, if you do research on exploratory, and experiment. Go ahead. Next question.
Okay, I think it's to what? Modern. Okay. He have 3 research gap, right, Professor? Then it a little bit new for me. Do we have to find it all, the 3 research gap, or just enough with one of them? Which one is the most important? I think it's theoretical, isn't it right, Prof?
I think let Madan answer that one. Madan, can you
Okay.
answer the question of Lufti? She is a new student at University Gajah Mada.
Yes, Prof. The research gap is depends. I think if you have find 2 or 3 sub problems in your major problems, so you can introduce those research gaps here. If you need, you can show the research gaps, or you can go with one. I think that's my answer.
Yeah. If you were to read literature textbook on research method 50 and others, you will find that there is about 7 to 8 gaps. 3 mentioned by Madan: empirical, methodological, and theoretical. There are other 5. Yeah, or others 5 or 4 more. Okay, that you can look at. Okay. Tika, why not you explain your research gap?
Yes, Prof. My research group, I tried to divide it into 3, the theoretical and also the previous study. And if I'm not, let me see first. And previous thesis focus and also the previous studies in Prioritama and the trend of the area and the scope in the study. So I try to see the empirical first in my case, and then when go to the literature review, I found the gap in the literature. So in my study, I relate it to the Hebrakan, how the transformation and the transformation relate to the Altman also about the behavior. So I think it's like the process. So but in this gap, so I can see or find what the contribution that it will be.
Yeah.
Like, I will to enrich the theory of Hebrakan and the Altman. Yes, like that, Prof.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So therefore, we see that she has theoretical and she also has empirical gap, right? Right. So go ahead. Who would like to ask question? Can you open your video or your speaker so that we can hear your voice? Go ahead and identify yourself first.
Hi, Prof.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Anna from UITM. I would like to know, is it imperative to know if our research is deductive or inductive at the proposal stage, or that is fine to be discovered later?
You would like to ask Tika or Madan?
Yeah, any of them.
Okay, Madan, is it imperative? Is it inductive or deductive? Right, that's what your question is it?
Yeah, at the proposal stage, is it important to know at the proposal stage, or it's okay to be discovered later?
Okay, Madan, what's your answer?
I think it should find during writing the proposal. It's better to develop your thesis later. So in my case, my research is about the deductive method. So which is I have found in my first, I think late first semester. So it's better to find earlier.
When you look at his research on the urban sprawl, it is on the explanatory, right? For which that he used many of these formulas and methods. The tools are clear, right? It has been used by others too. Therefore, it's a deductions, right? For which that, as I mentioned earlier, his research is under research paradigm positivism. Whereas if you look at Tika, is not. Therefore, she may mix between inductive, and then it can also back to deductive. So there's no discrete actually doing this to do either deductive or inductive. At least in the research of social sciences, and particularly when we look at how people acted, their relationship with their place. Example, how residents of Parutaman acted in Parutaman, impacted by the arrival of the homestays and the tourists. So it's, but as you go along, you will get this. In the beginning, it can be deductive, like what Madan found, and perhaps so does also Tika. Eventually, it can be a mix. Don't worry on that. Yeah, that is a good question. Next question, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Idlan. I'm from UPM. I've just started my PhD anyway. I just would like to ask for a question, not really a question, it's a tips really, about finding your analysis methods. Any tips on that? Finding the right analysis methods.
Okay, why not Tika and Madan answer this? We will begin with Tika, your analysis method, data analysis.
Yes, Prof. For the beginning, in my experience, because my background is from the architecture, so the analysis about the spatial related to the building. So why I choose the transition area, because it's become the like terrace and yard, because it's a part of the building or the house. So in the firstly, I analysis only the how the how to say to see how the relationship, how the activity the people in the building element. So so my analysis is more than the narrative, so or the qualitative. So I and then in my process I found what the tools that I will take. For example, OGIS, because I should find the how the density relate to the interaction. So I also the analysis on the building element, like the how the terrace, how the yard, how the pocket space, and so on. So firstly, I just narrative to analysis, and then I do the literature, and I find the some of tools to support my analysis. Yeah, that's all, Prof.
Thank you. Madan?
Yes, Prof. First one, analysis method is depends on your study field. For example, my study is mainly focused on the modeling and spatial prediction. It's related to this. So one thing, and other thing is depends on your data. So according to my data and my research idea, I have reviewed many literature and found a suitable method for this data. Which one is more suitable to analyze, and then only we can get a reliable and best output from our research. So as a geography student, also I'm from the GIS background, so I connect this one with GIS analysis, so I use this one.
Good.
That's
yeah.
Right, thank you.
So Madan heavily using tools, whereas Tika actually most of the narrations, right? Therefore, you can see of a different approach. In PhD, guys, you must, I repeat, you must construct your own methodology. Once it is reliable and valid, meaning that your method and your tools that you apply to analyze your data, what you collect is reliable and valid, then you make it in the next stage analysis, you use the right tools so that you get reliable and valid result. Why? That will end to the empirical realism, because PhD stands on empirical investigation, right? It stands on that. It's not a conjecture. It's not scenarios. It is about solid truths that you gain from the facts. Where are the facts? Your tables, your figures. For which that you gain it from your data analysis. Thank you. Next question, if those who like to hear, we're already 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yeah. Who's in the chat now? Can you speak out? Hello, who's in the chat? Can you speak out?
Okay, Mr. Musa dan Raka, I think.
Yeah, Musa, you're from Nigeria, right? So he's not responding. So if not responding.
Hello, yes, hello, sir.
So, yeah, so what is your question?
No, I was trying to ask whether all this they presented are the minimum requirements for a proposal.
Oh, yes, surely yes.
And truly, I'm from Nigeria.
Surely yes. The answer is yes. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Any more questions?
And Mr. Yuda, I think you have to pick your question.
Yuda?
Yes, Prof, can I ask something?
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Thank you for this effective information about the workshop in PhD journey. Thank you very much, Prof. The question about the simulation and modeling for PhD, when using the modeling simulation and computational simulation, and because the COVID-19, some measurements we can't do, the measurements can prove. Can I do a lot of softwares and modeling and simulation for PhD journey? Is these simulations or modeling enough for getting the PhD? That's my question, Prof. Thank you very much. I can't.
I do not know about simulation. The one who expert here is Madan. So Madan need to answer it.
Actually, I couldn't get the question exactly.
Yeah. Can you speak slowly, Yuda?
What?
Slowly. But say again your question. Short. In short.
I mean, because the COVID-19 and some measurements and experiments, we can't do these experiments and measurements in labs. And some equipments we can't find these equipments, and we have the computational simulations and softwares. Can I do more software, more simulation rather than the experiments or measurements? Is this enough to get to complete the PhD requirements?
Madan, answer first. After that, I will add.
I think it's enough, I think, because if you are doing a simulation based on the spatial maps, spatial information, you can predict something new.
Yeah.
So I think it's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's like this, Yuda. Any method that you apply, it must lead to empirical results. Once answer your research question, which will lead to answer your research objective, that's enough.
Okay, inshallah. Thank you very much. Prof.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Assalamualaikum.
Anybody like to ask question? Who from China? ZZ, Z1?
Pak Yuda, you want to ask some question?
Okay, sorry for the bad side now. Prof, I give my my question in chat. Sorry to ask this. I want to ask your opinion, Prof. If I continue my study program in Malaysia, especially in UTM, in your opinion, would I rather the case study about Malaysia, Indonesia, or comparison of both, Prof?
Okay. The answer actually, if you follow Tika, and Madan clearly, Tika did her research at her own backyard, Paro Taman. And Madan also did at his own backyard, Batikalo. So do at your place, because it's how you can get the data easy. Because it's your place. You can smell, you not only understand, you can understand the smell of your place. Thank you.
Okay, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
All right. Thank you guys for attending today's session. I think about 28 of us attended. There's a good number here. Yeah, guys. For those who are doing the PhD now, proceed that you need to spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. All right. Put your heart to it and set a deadline that after 6 semesters, I'm going to finish my study. I believe Madan going to finish in the 5th. So does Tika. So this one is a good, right? So we need to hit hard. We need to put our mind to it so that we can complete on time within the time frame of your scholarship given to you all to pursue your PhD, right? For those who are academic, you must have PhD. Why? Be analytical, followed by be critical is the essence in teaching. I repeat, be analytical and proceed to be critical is the essence of teaching. Those who teach with these 2 skills will never the student will never get bored when they attend your classes. Because you are not parroting. You are not parroting in your class, right? Always new things will come out, right? So this is where the essence of doing PhD. Thank you for your own presence here. Hopefully you all do your much on your PhD. Take care and hope that we can see you again, see you in person once the lockdown is over. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you, Bu Lutfi, Pak
Thank
Yuda.
you, Prof.
Okay. Actually, we have another presenter here. Then I'd like to invite Mr. Yuda and Ms. Nova to the stage for the presenting some information of ITERA. So
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It's me, Miss Lutfi, my computer again.
Wait a minute, Miss Lutfi is okay. Just a minute.
Still have a problem?
Yes, as usual. We do not understand what's going on exactly on this laptop.
Okay. Do you still want to present?
Yes, of course, with pleasure is okay. Maybe I just want to tell something about ITERA, and I'm trying to fix the video because we want to show the video from YouTube Zelly, but just try to present based on my story.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, hello there. Hello people, nice to meet you on this morning.
Okay,
I'm so sorry, allow me to introduce myself. I am Nova. I am Mr. Yuda's wife. I'm gonna help my husband to present ITERA, Institute Teknologi Sumatera, to you all. exactly, we already prepare everything, you know, to show the best presentation for you guys, but we don't know what's going on with this laptop. It looks like this laptop wanna give some surprise for our or a prank for us. We do not know. when we already prepare everything and we are gonna show this presentation, suddenly there is something error, there is a loading like that.
Okay, go ahead and present it.
Yes, I will present it. Okay, by my own presentation exactly. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Exactly, Sumatra Institute of Technology, or ITERA, abbreviated ITERA, Institute Technology Sumatra, is a public university located in Lampung on Sumatra Island. Its location is between the area of South Lampung Regency with Bandar Lampung City. ITERA was established based on Presidential Regulation number 124 of 2014 on the establishment of Sumatra Institute of Technology. State Gazette of the Republic of Indonesia, year 2014, number 253. Established by the President of the Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Haji Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono on October 6, 2014, and promulgated on October 9, 2014. Although the inauguration was held in 2014, ITERA has started academic activities by accepting new students in 2012 to 2013. In addition to ITB and ITS, Institut Teknologi Bandung and Institut Teknologi Surabaya, with the opening of ITERA and ITK, the Indonesian government has 4 institutes of technology. Sorry, we already prepared a video, but we do not know something here, so I just need to share my art presentation. And then efforts to accelerate national development of Indonesia, especially in the fields of science, technology, and culture, require readiness to provide superior human resources. To that end, the Ministry of Education and Culture has a program to establish a state institute of technology on the island of Sumatra, exactly. Well, this is a special thing of ITERA, that is ITERA main gate. In the context of the main strategy of implementing master plan for the acceleration and expansion of development of Indonesia economies, MP3EI, the role of educated human resources is the main key in supporting sustainable economic growth. Therefore, the main goal in the education and training system to support above must be to be able to create human resources that are able to adapt quickly to the development of science and technology. Efforts to accelerate national development, especially in the fields of science, technology, and the arts, require readiness to provide superior human resources. And then the Ministry of Education and Culture has a program to establish State Institute of Technology on the island of Sumatra. The drafting of the establishment proposal was made in 2011. Well, people, the Institute of Technology on the island of Sumatra has been set to be located in Kota Baru, South Lampung Regency, Lampung Province. The status of the college will be determined through a presidential decree. With regard to the plan based on the assignment of the Ministry of Education and Culture, then at the initial stage, pending the completion of campus infrastructure development
Hello.
and station.
Presenter, I think can you cut short about your presentation?
Okay, yes, of course. Thank you, Prof. And this is about urban and regional planning of ITERA. The identity of study program, the field of expertise of urban and regional planning is essentially interested in providing a prescription for issues, Prof, and that are in the public interest, public concern, which is naturally complex, people. And then in addition to the substance of problems that concern many dimensions, the complexity of the problem arises because of the variety of political, economic, social, and cultural context behind it. Based on this, the prescription for the problem must be valid in terms of knowledge and planning procedures, and can be positioned properly in accordance with the context of problem. And the last, scientific field of regional and urban planning is based on a number of basic knowledge that becomes a starting point for understanding knowledge of expertise and synthesis. Basic knowledge in question includes knowledge of mathematics, physics, chemistry, introduction to engineering and design, language, Indonesian and English, information technology, sports, ethics, and religion, as well as Pancasila and citizenship. In addition, this basic knowledge also includes basic knowledge that is directly related to the science of regional, urban and regional planning, namely basic planning and design, as well as communication and presentation techniques. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully that we can meet again at your campus. We can meet at a campus. So you are at the southern tip of island of Sumatra. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, and all of you.
Yeah. Hope to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, bro. Thank you, people.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.